Throughout history, great men have dreamed of building their own nations. George Washington, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leicester Hemingway.
Who? Click that subscribe button right now!
Probably thinking to yourself, who the f is Leicester Hemingway? And to that I say, chill out, bro. The video's literally just started. Don't ruin it with your foolishness. This is the story of a man who approached the ocean and just said, you know what? I'm gonna take some of that. This is New Atlantis, the short-lived, barely legal, and definitely questionable country that Leicester Hemingway founded on literal garbage. I ended up going to New Atlantis trying to seek answers, but I ended up at New Atlantis on the Gold Coast of Australia, and all I learned is that it's really f***ing cruel to keep a polar bear in Queensland. It's too f***ing hot, and all their rides were closed. Like every single one. So let's address the giant elephant in the room, Leicester Hemingway. You might recognize the last name. That's because his older brother was an actual literary legend, Ernest Hemingway. You know, the man in the sea, for whom the bell tolls, and being like the ultimate man's man. Hunting Nazis, J. Edgar Hoover opened a file on him for the FBI, survived 2 plane crashes and a lion attack. If you want me to make a video about him, let me know. Now we get to Leicester. Thank you for being patient. I'm proud of you. Imagine being the younger brother of the actual Hemingway though, like the big dog. The big kahuna, if you will. This was the case for young Leicester, who is 16 years his brother's junior and spent his entire life trying to step out of his brother's shadow. He would begin writing as his brother did. He wrote 6 books that no one gave a about, and tragically the only book of his that anyone bought was My Older Brother Ernest Hemingway, that he wrote strategically after his brother took his own life in 1961. Really cashed in on that. Not sure how I feel about it. And can you guess what he used the money for? Pay off his debt, set up his family, maybe buy a new car. How about duct tape some logs together, push it out into the water, and declare yourself king of the high seas? New Atlantis, a country that Leicester Hemingway founded using his newfound wealth, founded in 1964 about 8 miles off the coast of Jamaica, thus putting it in international waters. When I say New Atlantis was a country, it was barely bigger than like an outdoor gazebo. Leicester used bamboo, steel, iron piping, and rock, bound it all together, pushed it out into international waters. His wife stitched a flag that for whatever reason looks like a Dorito, and then just went, right, the country. Look at me, everybody. President. On July the 4th, he officially declared it as a republic, claiming the area on, around, and underneath his raft, 50 feet down to the seabed, was all property of New Atlantis. His plan was to gather up a bunch of rocks, put them underneath the raft, and create a very stable foundation for his newfound country. Speaking of a stable foundation, what he decided to do was write a constitution for this new country on a typewriter, and he essentially copied the United States Constitution verbatim, start to finish, replacing United States of America with the Republic of New Atlantis. He argued that technically the raft was an island because of the Guano Act of 1856. And for those of you who have never seen Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, guano is the from any bat or seabird, and if any landed on a rock or some sort of structure out in the ocean, any US citizen, sovereign or otherwise, can claim it on behalf of the US to use for resources. So technically a bird can turn up, it on a rock in the middle of nowhere, and the US will turn up, stab a flag in it, and do their best 1700s British Empire impression. Dibs, I call this. This is mine. This is mine. Dibs. You might be wondering, why did he do this? It was mostly vibes. According to Leicester himself though, New Atlantis had a mission. It was supposed to be a marine research station and an international hub for journalism, because Leicester wanted a place that journalists could go without fear of being influenced by their government. But I'm gonna keep it largely one scundo with you guys. This was to get out of his brother's shadow. 100%. Straight up and down. It doesn't matter which way you slice it. This dude's older brother was mad famous. He wanted some of that, so instead of doing it the literary way that he'd already tried, he decided to declare himself king of his own island. It's essentially a midlife crisis with a nautical theme. Like if you've got a divorced dad and he's got a boat, he's already halfway there. He just needs a bunch of Here's a short list of things that I didn't have on my midlife crisis bingo card. Start a country. End of the things that are on that list. By 1965, there were 6 inhabitants on New Atlantis. Obviously Leicester Hemingway, his wife Dorothy, their 2 daughters, as well as public relations specialist Edward K. Moss and his assistant Julia. They unanimously elected Leicester as president. Surprise, surprise. His election saw significant press in the neighboring Jamaica, and it made front page headlines, which, I mean, Jamaica, like 3 people read the paper. So Hemingway also tried to authorize a currency called the scruple. It consisted of trinkets like fish hooks, carabines, shark teeth, and other bullshit. So fun fact, you can't just make a country. It's super illegal. New Atlantis claimed to be independent of the United States, and they said no. And the United Nations also has this little rule about countries that are made of driftwood and hopes and dreams not really being classed as a country either. So after very quickly running out of novel money, Leicester Hemingway decided that he was also going to sell stamps. Although several sheets of these had already been printed, the Universal Postal Service decided that they basically meant nothing. They refused to accept them, so in a stroke of genius, Leicester wrote a letter to Lyndon B. Johnson as acting president of the Micronation of New Atlantis. They didn't bother to check, and he got a letter back from the presidential office saying, "Dear acting president," thus giving him a legal title from the highest office of his citizenship, which he then used to barter for certain things. Not a lot of it worked out because it's still illegal, but sounds like a lot of fun. He also tried to mint coins, write books, and encourage tourism. But the obvious cash grabs would have to wait because New Atlantis was in trouble. Not only was it in trouble, it was gone. It wasn't taken down by the government. It wasn't taken down by the UN. Honestly, like, it wasn't even taken down by common sense. This guy didn't wake up one day and go, you know what? This is a bit fucking silly. I should probably go home now. It was taken down by nature. That's right. In 1966, a storm came through the Caribbean and absolutely bodied New Atlantis. One good wave and that was it. Nation deleted. A big RIP for New Atlantis. So what's the legacy of this? Did it change history? No. Did it inspire future generations? Also no. Did it prove that technically with a big enough ego and enough planks of wood you can strike out and make your own country? Also no, because it's super illegal. What the f was this guy thinking? It cost him literally all of his money, wasted his family's time, and put a bunch of debris into the ocean that he was trying to protect in the first place. Leicester wasn't alone in this. There have been many failed micronations over the years. Sealand, the Republic of Minerva, Liberland, those inflatable castle things that they always put out at the beach, but then you get too big to use them because you're a grown man and they won't let you play and you just feel sad. Okay, that's something I should talk to my therapist about. What have we learned? What have we learned? Probably f*** all. But if you want to make your own country, don't. It's an absolute nightmare of a situation, and after all was said and done, no one knows who Leicester Hemingway is. Holy shit. New videos every fortnight. Should we build our own micronation? If so, what should we call it? Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'm declaring sovereignty over your backyard. I will be pitching a tent. I will be scaring your neighbors. You've been warned. Peace and have a good day.